It's the Chad Benson Show.
As Attorney General Barr has just informed us that he will not attend tomorrow's hearing. I understand why he wants to avoid that kind of scrutiny, but when push comes to shove, the administration cannot dictate the terms of our hearing in our hearing room. The Department of Justice has also told us that they will not comply with our subpoena for the full unredacted Mueller report. I will continue to work with the Attorney General to reach a reasonable accommodation on access to the full report, but not for much longer. Compliance with congressional subpoenas is not optional. If good faith negotiations don't result in compliance in the next day or two, the next step is seeking a contempt citation against the Attorney General.
Oh, my God. That is just insane. What are we going to do? What is going to happen? Nancy Pelosi just a little while ago.
I really lost sleep last night after watching over and over again the testimony of the Attorney General of the United States.
You know what I did? I had some pasta, sat in my jacuzzi, slept like a baby. I didn't care. Just doesn't affect me. And to look at the people that hyper-focus on this stuff. And again, both sides, man, I'm getting it from both sides throughout the night. I got these people tweeting at me, direct messaging me. Don't understand. He's a liar. He's a this. He's a that. Look at this is what Breitbart says. This is what Mother Jones says. This is what the Blaze says. This over here is what the New York Times says. And all the time I'm thinking to myself, it's a nice jacuzzi. I'm very relaxed. And do it all you can to take him out, right? Do it. What is this doing to help the American people? That's all I want to know. Go look. The impeachment process, get everybody out of there that you want out of there. If this is what you want, go ahead. If you think this is what the American people are clamoring for, it's a clamor, go ahead. But I think you're wrong. And I think if you want to win, you do it next November, not this November, but next November at the ballot box.
Why not call for Mueller to testify?
Because I'm not going to do any more. Enough already. It's over. If there's any dispute about a conversation, then he'll come. But I'm not going to retry the case. I'm not calling McCann. It is over.
Well, no, Lindsay, you need to do it more. Today, Steve Cohen, Democrat, Tennessee.
This smacks so much of Watergate. An attorney general like John Mitchell, who believes the president is above the law. Chicken Barr should have shown up today and answered questions. Attorney general who is picked for his legal acumen and his abilities would not be fearful of any other attorneys questioning him for 30 minutes. This man was picked to be Roy Cohn and to be Donald Trump's fixer. The Black Sox look clean compared to this team. It's a sad day in America.
Oh, he bought some Kentucky Fried Chicken, which I thought to myself, I'm hungry. The Black Sox, for those you don't know, the great scandal back in the day when the White Sox, who were easily the best team in Major League Baseball, through the World Series, and that had Shoeless Joe Jackson and everybody. It was the scandal of the century, in sports. Do you care? I mean, it's a question. Like, do you care? If you don't live in that little area in D.C., right? You don't live in that Beltway area. Does this have any real effect on you? Now, the people that are hyper-partisan, who live for politics, who watch these things 24/7, I was trying to figure out, I was doing the numbers, because like CNN's ratings have come out and MSNBC's, and they went year to date. So a year from this past April to this April, knowing what we know now, there was no collusion and all of that. Oh, but Chad, still doesn't matter. He's totally guilty of everything. He's totally guilty. We're going to get him. We've got him on this. It is what it is. But understanding that you pushed for a year, all of these things, you got people worked up. What do your ratings look like? CNN's primetime ratings were down by 26% compared to last year. MSNBC, 15% compared to last year. And they got crushed. But take all of that away. Just the fact that they've lost. Fox was essentially the exact same as they were. There was no change in Fox whatsoever. Take all of that away. Know that the average primetime viewer for somebody like CNN, 767,000 people. 767,000 people, average primetime viewer. Last year was 1 million. But let's just say it's 1 million. They're on 100 million homes plus nationwide. Maybe more. They get 1% of people who have a chance to watch television tune into that. Fox at best gets 3. So let's put it in perspective, right? Right? Chris Cuomo's 26th in the ratings, and he's their highest rated show. When a rerun of, something on HGTV or, Man versus Food crushes you, we got to really start to say to ourselves, is this what America is clamoring for? Is we need more of this. We need to come from Barr is a criminal.
The Attorney General of the United States of America was not telling the truth to the Congress of the United States. That's a crime.
Okay, but which part? Right? Because I heard all day everything he said was a crime and wasn't to telling the truth. So where is it? Call Mueller, sort this thing out. You want to impeach everybody who's ever been there and it's on the right side of the aisle? I don't even care at this point in time. The blustering is awful, Pooh Bear. It really is. There are other things out there that people care about. There are other things out there that people want to know about. There are other things out there that are happening in the world that aren't what you deem to be vitally important. Right? At this point in time, you guys are talking, but I don't see any action. You guys can, Nancy, it's all you. You go, you convene, you say, here's the deal. We're going to do this. We're going to go for the impeachment and let it go. And it goes down to Mitch McConnell and you lose and away it goes and then the American people go, why'd you do that? We didn't want that. I mean, all you got to do is look. Just take a peek at any kind of poll that's out there. Any kind of poll that's out there. Just look. I love how if you lie to Congress, it's a crime, but if you lie to the American people, you get elected and sometimes reelected and sometimes reelected and sometimes reelected, and then you're reelected again and you're over and you're reelected again. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Do love hearing from you. I watched a bit of that yesterday and thought to myself, man, what do our founding fathers think of this? Somebody bringing Kentucky Fried Chicken in, right? Somebody bringing Kentucky Fried Chicken in to make a point. What would our founding fathers say, right? What would our founding fathers say about the Mueller investigation, about Trump? What would they say? They say I mean, it's wow. You do wonder, right? Just a smidge. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Remember that whole thing that was going on at the border? And there was all this stuff happening, and then it wasn't a deal, and it was a deal, and then it wasn't a deal, and then it was an emergency, and then it's not really an emergency. Then it became kind of an emergency, and now it's a crisis. It's still going on, by the way. Just to let everybody know, there are still things happening there on the border that's totally being ignored because everything that's sucking the air out of the room is happening in D.C. with Barr and with everything that's going on there. But we still have some issues.
We are in the midst of an ongoing security and humanitarian crisis at our southwest border. The department, at the request of our frontline officers and agents, needs additional resources to respond.
Yeah, additional resources. And the records are growing, and who knows what it's going to be in April.
In March, CBP apprehended and encountered over 103,000 migrants crossing without legal status, the most in 1 month for over a decade.
Yeah, I know. I spoke the other day to Congressman David Schweikert, and we talked about this and how there is some fixes out there when it comes to immigration, that the process itself can be sped up, and those are administrative, and that we need to be more looking at that than trying to sort out the asylum law, which is something that is never going to be sorted out and fixed, because the system itself and the political side of it is completely broken. But on a humanitarian side, these little things can speed up processes that'll be both better for us and better for the people that are coming here and truly trying to get here for asylum, which, again, is a very small number, but we can start at least slowing down the giant, huge tsunami that has been ignored for years and has gone from a drip to a trickle to now the flooding is beginning and it's growing, and we need to figure it out.
As it is, an asylum seeker can wait months or years for his or her case to come before an immigration judge. Congressman Henry Cuellar says a key part of the so-called Humane Act is its promise to expedite the process.
People can ask for asylum. The only thing is we want their day in court faster.
Republican Senator John Cornyn first proposed the act in 2014 with the goal of
bringing some order out of the chaos and hopefully avoiding some of the abuses.
The two lawmakers have also proposed increased funding for more Border Patrol agents.
Yeah, absolutely. And we need that. We do. We need that. That's something that's real that needs to be dealt with. Like we know that's real. Everything else is politics. These are real human beings that are coming here. These are real people that are showing up. These are real people that are putting pressures on our services. These are real people that are costing money. These are and are also struggling in their life. This is a real situation. This isn't the boogeyman that is Russia. This isn't the boogeyman that is Trump's a liar. This isn't boogeyman that AJ. This is real. And can actually, bipartisanly, somewhat be solved. Not that it's going to, but come on. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Hope you're doing well on this beautiful day. Every day's beautiful. You wake up, right? Like I always try to put it in perspective. Man, I look at my family, good life, I bust my ass, have a great, I enjoy myself. And many of you, I hear from you, but I don't get the craziness of some people out there who are so into these things. And the more that I'm doing research, the more that I am completely sold on the idea that a large portion of our belief system is as much genetic as it is social environment. And parents and grandparents and stuff. I think there's a huge portion of that in our tribalism, that we're herd creatures, that we're going to find our herd, and that includes politics as much as anything else, and that a lot of that is our genetics. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. MyPillow, did I get a full night's sleep? Well, yes, Nancy Pelosi, I did. I didn't lose any sleep. Because I had my pillow, I had my mattress topper from MyPillow, and I slept cool, and I had my Giza sheets, special cotton, grown in the little area on the Mediterranean Sea. Perfect for me. Slept like $1 million, so smooth, so incredible, so comfortable. Thank you, MyPillow. You can have the same thing. It's simple and easy. These sheets are incredible. Deep pockets. You don't have to worry about them popping up. And the way that they feel, second to none. You will feel the difference. That is for sure. 100% machine washable and dryable cotton, and you will sleep better, whether Barr does or doesn't testify. How do you get these Giza sheets? Simple. Go to MyPillow.com. Use promo code Benson. That's MyPillow.com. Promo code Benson, B-E-N-S-O-N. Or better yet, you can even call them, 800-983-4975. 800-983-4975. When you do, use promo code Benson or MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where we make no apologies, although we do say a few Hail Marys and Our Fathers now and then. Amen.
The outlook is going to continue to be good for healthcare, employment, business and professional services, food and drinking establishments, leisure and hospitality. They are all good, solid job creators right now.
Solid job creators. Matters still. No matter what anybody says, it matters. It does matter, Mr. Benson. It does. Yeah, it matters in a big way because I see all these early polls, right? Like the early polls are what? Oh, Trump is losing to every single Democratic candidate that's out there with real numbers. Losing to every single Democratic character. They're all kind of characters, aren't they? All of them, all politicians. The reality is once we get inside that booth, we tend to have a real issue upsetting the apple cart. It takes a lot to move something. We get stuck in our ways. We do the same things we do over and over again. Don't want to try something new. Afraid about the what if scenario. And it's not like one of these is like, well, we'll try him for a week. And if he doesn't work, we'll go back the other way. So no matter what anybody says, as we all know, too, when it comes to polling and data in particular with this president, people aren't always just forthcoming. And people say, well, why aren't you forthcoming? I'll tell you why. Lexi Thompson, golfer, pretty lady. She's won 14 times on the LPGA Tour. She golfed recently with Rush Limbaugh and Donald Trump in Mar-a-Lago, and she's now moved off of social media because she got destroyed for it by people who are awful. There's a reason why people don't want to say something about Trump because of the backlash. So it's hard to get real polling data. But when you look at the jobs, kids, I'm telling you, if things stay the way that they are, I still think it's tough. He's the leader in the clubhouse. There's a reason it's hard to knock the champ off. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show. You should Twitter. You can tweet at me. Each and every day at this time, we like to bemuse you with funny things. We simply call this there our urban word of the day.
It's time for the urban word of the day, fam.
What? Right now?
Time to get a little more hip on the streets.
I can't understand a word you're saying.
Urban word of the day.
Maybe you've done this, or maybe it's been done to you, fellas. Swooped. You're at a party. You're having a good time. You see somebody that you like. You're at work, wherever you're at. You're enjoying yourself. Somebody you've known for a while, whatever it is. You think you've got the in on the person that you like. You're like, she's hot. She's great. She's amazing. This is it. I'm making my move. All of a sudden, you got swooped. Oh, yeah. Maybe you're the swooper, or maybe you've been the swoopee. But swooped is your urban word of the day.
Thank you for saying that in dated urban slang so that I'll understand you. That there was the urban word of the day. We damn stretched your cranium.
Simply put, our system is full, and we are well beyond our capacity.
Oh, immigration. People texting in about it. A lot of stuff still to talk about with that. Got some measles updates. If you're a Scientologist, watch out! Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
It's the Chad Benson Show.
As we unite on this day of prayer, we renew our resolve to protect communities of faith and to ensure that all people and all of our people can live and pray and worship in peace.
Absolutely. And I think it's great. Doesn't matter what your denomination is. Doesn't matter whatever it is. Today was the National Day of Prayer. And I was saying, think about the whirlwind of this right here. So you are a rabbi, Rabbi Goldstein, small little congregation at your temple, Poway, California, or San Diego, right? Just doing your thing. And within a week, you've been thrust into the spotlight. You've lost somebody in your congregation. People have been wounded. The very foundation of your faith is being challenged. And now you are at the White House for the National Day of Prayer. That's just got to be whirlwind. And he was very poignant today.
I found myself in the line of fire, facing the darkest moment of my life and the life of my congregation.
Yeah, and it's just he was, he has been, again, thrust into the limelight, and I think he's handled himself very, very well. But it's got to be just a whirlwind. I mean, think about this. Just any one of you listening right now, that something happens to you, good, bad, whatever it is, that a week from today, you are, whether it's a tragedy or whether it is something amazing, like you've won $500 million, where the world knows everything about you. You're thrust in. You are trending on every social media. You are, I mean, could you imagine that? I mean, that alone has to be just on top of everything else. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. So today, Facebook did something.
Facebook has banned a number of prominent conspiracy theorists and alt-right figures from both its site and the Instagram platform, including Alex Jones and his media outlet InfoWars.
Yeah. So they've been banned. Now, you're thinking, well, Alex Jones has already been banned. Well, the platforms, because he was banned from there, but he wasn't banned from Instagram, Alex Jones. I can't believe it. This is what I'm talking about. I talk about this all the time, and I mean this, and I want everybody to understand this. What I'm saying is Mark Zuckerberg's the lizard man. That's all I'm saying. It's already happening. I know he is. That's why he doesn't like me, because I've exposed him. No, you're gone because they think you're crazy. I think you are a old-timey selling crazy medicine out of the back of your wagon in the Wild West crazy show kind of guy. Right? But you say some inflammatory things. Absolutely. I've never disputed that. Milo Yiannopoulos, we were trying to figure out, like, because they said dangerous. And I'm like, and I remember the whole thing about him talking about being gay, and that there were older gentlemen and younger, like 16-year-olds, not 12-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, but like 16, 17-year-old boys who were finding their way, and they had that kind of relationship. And, you know, I'm assuming it's for that, because while he's a provocateur, is he dangerous? Depends, right? I guess I've met Milo on a few occasions, been on the show a few occasions. I don't find him to be that dangerous, but maybe some people do. But it wasn't just Alex Jones, but Alex is the biggest name potentially out of all of these, and he's the one that's been battling, and he came out swinging today.
Why are they doing this now?
Well, it's a good question as to why they waited this long, but
yes,
they
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, so Alex Jones has been banned from Facebook for a long period of time, but now they banned him. They banned his little underling, Paul Joseph Watson, who's a notorious anti-Muslim conspiracy theorist who tried to break off recently. They banned Laura Loomer. They've even banned Louis Farrakhan from the platform for his anti-Semitism, which is that's always sort of been the what about from the right here is why not ban Louis Farrakhan if you're banning Alex Jones? So they banned both. So that's what's happening here on Instagram today. They are taking down what they call organized hate groups, or hate against specific religions, specific like sexuality, things like that.
So that's what they're taking down, and I don't like it. I'll be honest with you, I don't like it. Now, I've had Milo on the show. He's interesting. He's a provocateur. I don't find him to be scary. The other ones, the Alex Joneses of the world, I'm not into conspiracy. Laura Loomer, all these, I'm just not into the conspiracy. I think it's a game that they're out there and they found a lane, and the lane is say crazy things, say wacky things, say the stuff that pushes envelopes, and I have no problem as long as you're not advocating for violence. You let the free market work itself out. And I know what people say. Well, this is a free platform. And it's really not anymore. The more that we find out how much data they take from us and they use it in places over and over again, they've taken our data and done so many different things to it, the more you start to realize that we always knew we were the lost leader, but the way they've gone about it, you realize, maybe it's not as free as you think it is. But when you do this, you start to get into that area of like, so we're who's next? I'm just curious. Who's next? Who's the next person? What's the next platform? And they say, well, you can't do something here because we don't like it. Who gets to decide these things? And that's what I think a lot of people on the right want, is a uniformity. They got rid of Farrakhan, rightly so. But we want uniformity, I think, across the board. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on.
A lot of people on the right say this is censorship to take people down, even though they are, effectively over and over again railing against specific religions or people like that, like contributing to targeted harassment of sometimes private figures. But really, what they're trying to do here is clamp down on the really bad stuff on their platform, so they have fewer PR disasters. This is
Yeah, okay, fewer PR disasters, but their PR disasters, a lot of them, the biggest PR disasters they've had zero to do with Alex Jones and a lot to do with privacy, lying about privacy, and the Russia thing. So there's a lot of things out there that had nothing to do with them, but when you start coming after speech, the worry is you're going to have people picking and choosing the kind of speech they don't like, not saying we need to protect speech. And it's okay to say, no, this isn't speech. You're advocating violence and you're pushing for violence. You're advocating it. There is the difference. But when you got a 23-year-old sitting somewhere in Silicon Valley deciding, well, I don't like that person, that's the fear factor that I have. And you can look over and he just said something about, well, they're going after even private figures. Well, how about all those people that went after Tucker Carlson? Right? You got to see the stuff I get tweeted and texted and all kinds of wacky lunacy. You got to see all of these things. It's that pick and choose. And how many times do you let it happen? Like, do you let it happen several times before you may say something? And it's I think everybody wants it. It's like sports, right? How pissed you get at a referee when they seem to referee a game in a different way. This team gets all of the calls. The other team doesn't get any of the calls. And all you want is just call it the same way. Right? If you're going to call it tight, just call it the same way. If you're going to let it be that way. But don't say, hey, if you foul somebody, we're going to turn, every 1 out of 5, we're going to go, okay, yeah, we're going to call that. And over here, if you get close to somebody and you touch them, we're going to call it. That is the thing that frustrates people.
This is a company that has unfortunately, accidentally abetted genocide in Myanmar with Facebook. So they're trying to stop all of the bad stuff on the platform from getting too big. And frankly, by the way, really quickly, Alex Jones, while banned from Facebook, was still on Instagram. And we did some internal data on this. If you looked up Joe Biden, one of the top 20 posts on all of Facebook and Instagram in the last 3 days about Joe Biden came from Alex Jones's Instagram account. So that's gone now. That's just not there for him anymore.
Okay, but here's my thing. What did he say? Did he say go kill Joe Biden? Or does he just not like his politics? What did he say? I mean, that's my thing. So you don't like him. He's a conspiracy. He's the flat earther of politics and wackiness and all this crazy. Now, are you going to move the flat earthers? Are you going to get them off there? If you're going after conspiracy people and stuff, are you going to get flat earthers off all of these things? I know they're not trying to censor them in a weird way on places like YouTube, the flat earthers, but they're trying to steer people away from it. I mean, these are people who have their opinions. And if your opinion is, I don't like Joe Biden, and you've got you put a meme out there. How many memes are out there? Well, what if it's spreading a lie? Based on who? Did he say, I'm going to kill Joe Biden? Did he say, I advocate for the death of Joe Biden? Because if he did, then hell yeah, get him off. But it's just that he doesn't like Joe Biden and he doesn't like that kind of politics. See, you start walking in this. And I think here's the thing. I think what you're going to find is more and more people who are in this business on both sides of the aisle are going to regret these kind of things for not standing up for more because they're worried about being deplatformed. And what you're going to find is a lot of frustration later on down the road because it's going to start to get a lot murkier. And you're going to see other people who you're going to go, I don't think that person should have been. They'll come. They will. And eventually, hopefully, somebody will come up with alternative platforms to rival these and make them rethink. The problem is when you kick everybody else who's got like the quote unquote alt-right off something or people who have conservative ideas and then they set up a platform, it gets what? It gets, this place is only where crazies and right-wingers and supremacists and stuff go. Wouldn't you like to know where they are? I'm a marketplace guy. Let the marketplace work itself out. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Do love hearing from each and every single one of you. Oh, man. It's so bizarre. It really is. I'm a free market dude. Always been a free market guy. And I just don't, again, if it's violence, I get that. But I have a feeling we're going to be pissed off at ourselves because people, while we don't agree with them, are going to be gone. And then they're going to start looking around for others. Like, who else can I do this to? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. It's called Lightstream. So you've got your credit cards. You get your credit cards right there. Yeah, I got your credit cards right there. And you're looking at these credit cards and saying to yourself, Self, I'm paying how much? What? That's a lot of money. It is a lot of money. Save yourself all of that. Do something right. Get yourself a credit card consolidation loan from Lightstream. It's simple. It is easy. 6.14% APR with auto pay. That's what your fixed rate can be. Up to $100,000. That's right. That's what you can borrow. $5,000 up to $100,000. No fees. You can get your money, some cases, early as the same day. SunTrust Bank. That is who Lightstream is a division of. So you got peace of mind right there. Now, my listeners, that's you guys. You guys can get an additional interest rate discount. How do you do it? Simple and easy. Go to lightstream.com/Benson, lightstream.com/Benson, lightstream/Benson. Get yourself an additional discount that will take care of you. It's the best way to start putting your finances in order, start saving some money and paying the stuff off in a much smarter way. Subject to credit approval, rates include 0.50% auto pay discounts. Terms and conditions apply. Offer subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/Benson for more information. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson. What's going on that there boat? Chad Benson Show.
Being antisocial sucks. Hang with Chad's friends on Facebook, The Chad Benson Show. And if you just need some alone time, head on over to Twitter at Chad Benson Show. Either way, we can't wait to meet the real you.
This is a country holding its breath to see what the next moves are for the opposition and the armed forces allied to the government of President Nicolas Maduro. 2 days of clashes have left 4 people dead, hundreds injured, and more than 200 arrested, including children.
Yeah, children? What? Yeah, what are you going to do there with the kids? Just curious about that one. But the question remains out there about the man who wants to be leader. Apparently, we're funneling money. There is a real tension now between Russia and us. And there's 2 or 3 people that tweet at me and just tell me how wrong I am, how absolutely right they are, that this is just made up and that Russia is not involved. There's Cubans there, that this is all just, what did I hear? Not Maduro. What Maduro said was essentially that we need to, resist the gringos and the whiteys that are trying to take over. And it's like, look, if you do you, that's fine. But don't tell me your nation's doing wonderful when we know it's not. And you're a mess. And don't tell me you're a democracy and this is what the people want, when the reality is you have every other nation minus 3 or 4 bad ones essentially calling your bluff. And if Putin and Trump are so tight, why do they always seem to be getting into something? Whether it's the Ukraine, which we sold them weapons, or whether it's potentially this with Russia, if they're such buddies, why isn't this just no big deal?
The United States government throwing its full weight of support behind the opposition and behind its leader, Juan Guaido. But so far, there is no sign that he has succeeded in overthrowing the government, and people now waiting to see what his move is next.
Yeah, well, eventually I think he's going to be arrested. Now, how far are they going to go? I think that's the big question. Are they going to try him and then execute him immediately? And what's the world do? Do we get involved? Is it off the table? I don't know if it is or isn't. And who knows? And the sad thing is, at some point in time, potentially somebody may have an itchy finger and kill a bunch of people that are out protesting. And then what's the world do? Or do we just stand back and say, it's no big deal. Let them deal with it on their own? It's a question that has to be answered. And it will be at some point in time. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. So this whole thing that's going on in St. Lucia with a ship is very interesting, and it has to do with that their thing called the measles.
St. Lucia's chief medical officer deciding not to take any chances. They've been following the measles outbreak here in the United States, now ordering a cruise ship to remain docked and quarantined. There are about 300 people on board, all quarantined after a case of the measles was found. The government ordering crew and passengers to stay on the ship while it investigates.
Yeah. You stay there. Now, I continue to say it's the measles and it's dangerous and it can kill. But it's not just the measles. It's the what's next that's coming that we've eradicated that was really bad, and the potential of it coming here and doing something is huge. And because people aren't getting vaccinated, and this is going to go on and continue to grow, what happens next? That's a fair question to ask. And here's the other thing. We talk about vaccination, but we don't talk about stupid people who don't seem to care. Case in point, last week, somebody with the measles went to what? A full sold-out theater to watch the Avengers. These are the things that you sit back and you say, this is when you and your freedom and your choice impedes on my freedom and liberty, and this is where we have a problem. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. By the way, that ship that's in being quarantined is full of nothing but Scientologists. Maybe they need to go clear. Did you get a vaccination of thetans? You're probably going to come for me next. See you guys later. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Attorney General of the United States of America was not telling the truth to the Congress of the United States. That's a crime.
Crime! Now, for those of you who don't know, the Attorney General of the United States, top cop, right? Top cop is William Barr, right? He looks kind of like what Waldo would look like when he's like 60 and he's like, I don't care anymore. I'm not even going to try to get in the sweater because it's never going to fit. It's like, that's what he kind of looks at, the glasses. And, Chad, that's not very nice. Are you saying he nutritionally overachieves? That's exactly what I'm saying, being kind. If he wandered in to any mall in America, two things. First, he may be the only person in a mall in America, but if there is a mall that is busy, 99% of the people, no idea who he is. But yesterday, he was in front of the world. And by the world, I mean about 3 or 4 million people, maybe 5 million people, depending on the time of the day, where he was getting grilled by the Senate. Today was supposed to be his day where the House had their opportunity, and he decided, nah, I'm not showing up. I'm not doing this. It really upset Nancy.
I really lost sleep last night after watching over and over the testimony of the Attorney General of the United States. How sad it is for us to see the top law enforcement officer in our country misrepresenting, withholding the truth from the Congress of the United States.
Those are close to coming out. You can hear that, right? You heard that, Phil? Those are close to coming out. Falling out.
Okay.
You can hear them. It's just such a jerk, Chad. Did you lose any sleep last night, Phil? I'm just curious.
None at all.
None. I did not either. I slid right into, after my jacuzzi, I slid right into, my bed and just had this nice sheets from my pillow and just, goodness me. Maybe I should have. Maybe I'm missing something. Well, Chad, today was the day where the House had their opportunity to really go into them. And so he's obviously scared. He's very, very scared.
Mr. Barr is very afraid to come before the committee. He was willing to go in front of the committee controlled by the Republicans in the Senate, but not willing to come before the Democrats. And the reality is, I think Mr. Barr is afraid to come before our committee because we have a lot of questions of why he's behaved more like the president's PR firm rather than the lawyer for the people of this country sworn to uphold the Constitution.
Okay, here's my thing. and I want people to listen to this before you go off all like, haphazardly and just start sending crazy text messages. I'm going to tell you why he didn't show up today. Now, should he have showed up? Should he not have shown up? That's up to him. No, it's not, Chad. He needs to be there, and they're going to get him, and they're coming after him hard, and they're going to get him with the citation. Not the good kind of citation either. Right? Not the good set. No, they're going to get him a different kind of citation. Nadler's coming from him. He is. He's absolutely coming for him. Here's my thing. I want people to understand this. Yesterday, yes, it was controlled by the Republicans. Everybody had their say. Everybody who's a member of the Senate, who was voted in by the United States people, put there by the member, and the Russians, of course, the Russians voted everybody else in, but was put there by both the Russians and the U.S. voter. Every one of those people was put there by voters. The House wanted to do something different, something they haven't done in 204 years, ever, which is anybody who's part of staff can query and question. No, that's not what it's about. It should be about Nancy Pelosi, not her staff. Right? Do we understand that? We getting that? So, what did we find out here? We found out very little. If you thought he was guilty, you still think he's guilty. If you thought he obstructed justice, you still think that. If you think it's all a witch hunt, then it's probably just a witch hunt in your mind. You just let it go. The fact is, though, Mueller did his job, as Lindsey Graham likes to point out.
To all my friends on the other side, we gave Mueller 2 years to do his job. He had 19 lawyers. He had $25 million. He interviewed 500 people. He issued 2,000 subpoenas. Plenty of opportunity without interference. The president gave him 1.5 million documents. Everybody around the president and on the president's campaign testified voluntarily. And here's what we know. There was no conspiracy between the Trump campaign and the Russians at all. It is over. And the reason they're mad at Barr and me is because they didn't get the outcome they want. My friends on the other side want an outcome, and they don't care how they get it.
Yeah. Now, here's the way I look at it. If you really want to get to all of the bottom of all of the stuff that you think that you need to get to, and that Mueller is a good portion of what we need to do, then just call him in and let's just get done with this. So we can all move on. We got immigration issues. Still have a nightmare going on at the border. Right? We got problems that need to be solved. We got a lot of stuff that needs to get looked into. Healthcare and the rising cost of healthcare is one. We've got a good economy right now. I'd like to see it even better. Like to see wages start to rise. We've got a lot of things that could be dealt with, including the opportunity here to have a really good situation when it comes to a bipartisan spend a whole bunch of America's money infrastructure bill that would be really good as long as it's done correctly. Yeah, so those things matter. This, you're not losing sleep over this at night. You are losing sleep over, God, what do I do? Honey, we're going to take ourselves off, but we're going to still insure the kids. That's what people are thinking. Right? That's what people are thinking. People are living paycheck to paycheck in some areas, seeing the rising cost of housing. There's a lot of things out there that people are focusing on that isn't this. So if you want to get to the bottom of it, do it. Call Mueller. Call whoever you want to call. If he invokes executive privilege when it comes to Don McGahn, if you don't know who he is. No, he did not star in Miami Vice. Don McGahn, if you want to call him in, you let him, they decide executive privilege, that's what it is, right? You want to call Mueller in? Go ahead, call Mueller in. Call whoever that you think that you can get in there. You grill him, you look for your gotcha moment, and then stop bitching, whining, and moaning, and write that check that your mouth is yapping about impeachment. Go ahead and do it. And then tell the rest of us how that works out for everybody. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Love hearing from you. So college, which is, of course, super fun, is getting wackier and wackier when it comes to what's happening with their parents. And those parents are starting to come out and, well, they're starting to throw down. Please, we're sorry, because they're pleading guilty fast.
It's not clear just what the parents or student knew about how their daughter got a spot at Stanford, but the family from Beijing did reportedly pay 7 figures to make it happen. And just yesterday, a California real estate developer and his wife were the first parents to appear in court to formally enter a plea of guilty.
Yeah, guilty. Now, some people, these are the parents, because there are other people that have pled guilty already, but those are the people on the other side that have received some of the money, that have lied about their kids being amazing athletes, that have been on the administrative side and or the athletic side to help kids get in. They have already, some of them pleaded guilty, some haven't. Now, how big is it and how much time do some of these people face? And a lot of that has to do with the cash you put in.
If they're talking about somewhere in the $500,000 plus range, where prosecutors are going to be recommending at least 2 years in prison, you can understand why those people are going to be more reluctant to try to cut a deal than someone who maybe spent a lot less money, facing the possibility of a lot less time.
Yeah. So what you have here, too, are people who aren't used to being in situations like this, right? Right. So they're not used to being in a situation where maybe it's going to get uncomfortable. And the reason they're in trouble isn't because they would have been in trouble based on the fact that they paid some people to help their kids get into school. That was going to be a slap on the wrist, probably misdemeanors, falsifying some stuff, those kind of things. The trouble comes from the fact that they were giving money to, quote unquote, a nonprofit. They were writing it off on their taxes, knowing full well it wasn't really a nonprofit the way that they thought it was. They were still taking the tax deduction, and they were wiring the money. So you have wire fraud, you have tax fraud, you've got all of lying on financials, all of these things. That's what the ones are really in trouble for, not the trying to get your kids into school. So this is where it gets kind of funny, because you have all these people who are in situations they never thought they would be in. So what do?
The more people who cooperate, the larger the umbrella becomes of potential defendants here. And they may be finding out things that they didn't know originally in the investigation because of the people who are now cooperating, meaning parents who may end up turning on fellow parents.
Ooh, everybody's dropping a dime, which they don't say anymore. For those kids, this is an old retro urban phrase, to drop a dime. Back in the day, way back in the day, there used to be these things called phone booths. And people that were informants, right? People that were singing, if you will, would take a dime. That is a coin. For those kids out there don't understand, it's a little coin. And it represents 10 cents of United States currency. And they would take that dime and they would put it into this booth where there was a phone. Now, you couldn't take the phone anywhere. It was just in the booth. And they would drop it into the machine. They would pick up the handle, and then they would dial the police person that they were working with, because they were an informant, a stool pigeon, if you will. And they would pick up and the other person would pick up a phone that was on the desk. They couldn't take that anywhere as far as it went. And then they would talk. And that's how they got the phrase to drop a dime. And that's what these parents are doing, because they figure, well, we'll get some leniency here if I drop a dime. And that's kind of what they're going to be doing on each other. So there's a lot of people, I bet, that we don't know that have been through this or something similar with the same person that are going to be, how should we say this? Not happy. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet us. So we're talking about Facebook. They're banning Alex Jones, Louis Farrakhan, Milo Yiannopoulos, a few other, fringy alt-right people, they call them. And we thought maybe as Milo was getting banned for some of the stuff he said about the grooming process with underage boys, but not underage boys who are like 12 and 10, but like 16, 17-year-olds, and an older man who was maybe helping them or whatever, and that big controversy got him through. But they're saying it's because he's been provocative and he said some stuff, and some of the things in speeches he's given on campus. I just don't find him to be that dangerous. And that, to me right there, if that's why you're getting rid of him, and the free speech argument comes in here, and it's the same thing when they go on campus, It's uncomfortable because I'm telling you, it starts one place and where it ends up, 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Serving up talk radio medium rare and dripping with irony. It's Chad Benson.
These conservative Republicans, you know that, Neil. Remember how they hate deficits. Well, they deliberately created a $2 trillion deficit because of this tax cut addition. And then what do they say now? We can't afford to maintain a debt like this. So here's what we have to do. We have to cut your Medicaid.
Oh, look at that. Scare. Grandma, you're out of here. Yeah, we're throwing you off. No, these are things that have been brewing, but I will tell you he's right about one thing, and you're not one to talk about that considering the administration that you left love a spending, but he's right about the fact that the conservatives, you guys should be bitching and moaning like I bitch and moan over the fact that we do very little about attacking this deficit because we always think, we'll just print more money. We'll just print more money. We'll just print more. No. And I'm excited about a $2 trillion infrastructure bill, but where are we cutting? And when you go, and the falsehood there is a perfect example, is we're continuing to take in more money, even with the tax cuts. Yet we find a way to spend even more money than we have. It's amazing. No other household would operate like this, not in a way that's going to be successful long term, unless that household gets to what? Print their own money and make their neighbors pay for it. That should frustrate all of us. Really should. But he's right. He's right. You're absolutely right about that. But when you talk about that, here's the thing that makes me laugh. You go out there and you talk about like, that, but at the same time you get behind things like the Green New Deal, knowing full well that that Green New Deal, if we were to implement that, would absolutely crush us. There's an article out in Bloomberg talking about how essentially they're trying to evoke Obama to slow down this whole Green New Deal, but it's not going to slow itself down and implement it. And we've talked about it. The ramifications for us and our economy and for the people who struggle at the bottom side of the economy would be huge.
Wanted to let you know that I've signed the No Fossil Fuel Money Pledge. And I've done it in large part because I was asked to by students that I met at William and Mary when I was in Virginia.
Well, if they asked
students,
you to jump off a bridge,
people,
would you?
Activists and advocates that I've met all over the country who understand that we don't take PAC money, we don't accept help from corporations or lobbyists or special interests, but given the enormity of our challenge right now to ensure that we keep this planet from warming 2 degrees over pre-industrial revolution levels.
He sounds a little dude bro, doesn't he? Do you have that feeling? Doesn't he sound a little dude bro filled? Like, hey, bro, we're not going to do this. No.
Dude.
Yeah.
Bro.
Dude. Bro. Bro, dude. Dude, bro. Bro. Dude. Dude, bro. We're not going to do this. And these kids said, will you not do this? I was like, bro, I'm not doing that, bro. Bro, dude, I'm not doing that, bro. Make America bro again. MABA. Not mama, make America moral again. Or not MAGA. Make America bro again.
All human beings, all fellow Americans, all focused on the same goals, including confronting climate change before it is too late. So to those students, especially those at William and Mary, who spent the time to talk with us, to have the conversation, and with whom I spoke yesterday, thank you for your advocacy, for your leadership on this, and I look forward to working with you going forward.
They're the new lobbyist. The young. They're the new lobbyist. Hey, I'll give you $40 if you can get rid of my debt. No, but thanks. And make sure that you get rid of fossil fuels, bro. Because that's like totally not cool, bro. Let's confront it, man. Like, hey, climate change. Stop being so jerk, man. Stop being so hot. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Let's talk a little Big Pharma. You want to see what games look like? I'll show you some games, kids. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
It's the Chad Benson Show.
Mr. Barr is very afraid to come before the committee. He was willing to go in front of the committee controlled by the Republicans in the Senate, but not willing to come before the Democrats. And the reality is, I think Mr. Barr is afraid to come before our committee because we have a lot of questions of why he's behaved more like the president's PR firm rather than the lawyer for the people of this country sworn to uphold the Constitution.
Here's something you're not going to hear today from a lot of people in the media. One of the reasons, by the way, 206 years, right? This has been going on in the House. You got 206 years, House. Do you know how many times that somebody has been questioned by not House members, but by staffers? Judging by my recollection, I could be wrong, but I think 0. That's what the Democrats want. They want all staff members to also be able to question Barr today. Never been done ever before. So let's think about this for a second. You want something that you're saying he's unprecedented, but Nadler and them are screaming about something that's never been done before as if this is just normal operating procedure. So if you follow any of this craziness, they essentially want to put him on trial and do a big cross-examination on trial on him and allow basically anybody who wants to, that's a staff member, to just come out, and we're looking for the gotcha situation, the gotcha moment.
To all my friends on the other side, we gave Mueller 2 years to do his job. He had 19 lawyers, he had $25 million, he interviewed 500 people, he issued 2,000 subpoenas, plenty of opportunity without interference. The president gave him 1.5 million documents. Everybody around the president and on the president's campaign testified voluntarily. And here's what we know. There was no conspiracy between the Trump campaign and the Russians at all. It is over. And the reason they're mad at Barr and me is because they didn't get the outcome they want. My friends on the other side want an outcome, and they don't care how they get it.
Yeah. And then, look, if I'm Barr, I gave you yesterday, but now we control it. Okay, fine. You get to answer, you get to ask the questions, not you and your 8 staff members, you. If they've got questions, they can give them to you and you can peruse through them. That's the issue that you're not going to hear about today. That's the issue that one of the big things that people aren't going to talk about. But this is what you have. And then you have the he said, she said, he said, I heard, you said, I'm not quite sure. He lied. He didn't lie. I don't know. I think he lied, but I didn't think he lied. Maybe he did. Maybe he didn't.
I do not believe Attorney General Barr lied. I believe he's been very transparent in all of this. I think if people are looking at who has lied in the process, simply look at Chairman Nadler.
And this is what you get. And it's political games of BS and nothing gets done. And we've all got other things that we're sitting around going, I got other stuff I could be doing. Right? You just tell me the outcome. If you're going to impeach him, let me know. Maybe I'll watch a little bit of that. But then you tell me what happens later on down the road. If you're not going to impeach him, then can you guys get back to doing whatever it is that you think that you need to be doing? Because that'd be a huge helper. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Here's a perfect example of craziness and things that matter to us, the American people. So I'm looking at new insurance, right, for the whole family and everything. And I know it's going to cost me a lot more. And I look at it and, you say, okay, this stuff, like this bites into a month. This is a monthly bill here that really takes a bite. And it's a game. It's understanding how crazy these games are of for years, Hollywood played a game of Hollywood accounting. Right? Movie cost $12 million. They took a $50 million loss, but everybody got paid, but nobody's quite sure. Right? Like Tim Allen movie that he did, the first Santa Claus, it cost like $15 million to make, $20 million to make, and it made gobbles of money. It went on to make 2 or 3 other ones after that. Yet they took a massive loss on it. How? Hollywood accounting. Well, if you think Hollywood accounting is crazy, and you think the rules and the weirdness, think about what happens in the world of pharmacy, in the world of healthcare. Perfect example, great article. Producer Phil sent it to me the other day. It's in the New York Times. And they're like, they want it to be a secret. How a common blood test can cost $11 or almost $1,000, depending on who's your insurer and where you are in the United States of America. How common is this? 34 million Americans have taken this test in the last several years. It's a metabolic blood panel test. And the rates are $11 to $952 for the same test. Now, the negotiated payment for the compensation panel, and they break it down in certain areas, like they just go into big metropolitan areas. Miami, low, 149, high, 725. Same test, same city, different insurers, different negotiations. San Francisco, $80 to $564. Same city, same test, different insurers. Goes all the way down to Baltimore, where it's $22 to $37. Same test, same insurers. So the low's 22, the high's 37. By the way, $11 test. You doubled your profit there, right? You doubled it. Frustrating, right? And you wonder why we can't have nice things. You wonder why it's a stress because we don't understand these things because there's zero transparency. Zero transparency. Think of this. And they said they looked at all kinds of things, from drywall to ketchup to all kinds of things. And they went and they looked to see if there was any kind of disparity where you would see a huge price disparity between, ketchup for $3 and ketchup for $103. There wasn't. Oh, there was some where it was $2.50 or $3, and then you got a coupon, or you type in your number and you get your bonus points or whatever. But that was it. Same thing with drywall. Why you would see a price gap depending on, certain things, in particular, probably like how many people are going to be working under the table and stuff like that. The reality is there wasn't that huge, like, hey, to do this, it was going to cost you X dollars. Over here, it was going to cost you Z, and it was ridiculous. No, it's nuts. It's not, but that is it. Then they went and looked at things like operations, San Francisco, right? Negotiated price for a C-section in 2016 was almost $24,200. In Louisville, Kentucky, it was $7,500. It was $10,000 more expensive than L.A., New York, Denver. Why? That's the stuff. That's insane. And these are negotiated prices. So it could have said, hey, we'll start at 50, we'll drop it down to 24. But here's how they make their money. And here's the games that they play. So they say it costs 24, originally get the bill for 50. They say we'll pay 20, 23, or that's as much as you're going to get. So you've got to pay the difference in between in the whole 9 yards. What they then do is take that 50,000 and they say, okay, well, we've dropped it down to 25. Insurance says they'll pay 23. You pay your portion, insurance pays theirs, and in between the hospital and the care facility, they write off that other 25,000 that they dropped it down to. So there's a write-off that they're going to put down later saying, hey, we're dropping stuff. They do with an aspirin. They charge you $100 for an aspirin. You say that's ridiculous. They say, fine, we'll let you do it for $10. And you're like, $10, because they say, well, we got to charge you for the nurse. We got to charge you for the time. We got to charge you for all of the stocking and all of this stuff. They drop it down to 10. Really, it cost them a nickel. But between that 110 is the $90 they're going to write off. Games that people play. Pharmaceutical play the same game. Cialis, yesterday comes out. Oh, my God. We think, after doing testing for the last few years, that we believe that, yes, the pill that helps you go with the ladies or with the men, we think it can help with heart. Yeah, we think it can. Yeah, we think it can help with heart disease and heart failure and all of this stuff. We've been doing testing with the FDA, and we think it's great. Why is that? Well, it's simple. Cialis's patent is going to go bye-bye. So they have a patent. Every one of these pharmaceutical companies gets a patent for their stuff. Why is that? Because they're the only ones who want to be able to make it. Right? So they get a patent on this, and then eventually it goes bye-bye. After a certain amount of years, it goes bye-bye. Then companies can mass produce generic versions of it. How much would this hurt Eli Lilly? Let me tell you. It's crazy. 2017, Cialis for Eli Lilly did $2.3 billion in sales. Think about that, $2.3 billion in sales. By 2022, which is 2.5 years away, that will fall to $55 million. There's a reason that you always go, isn't that weird when your doctor will say, hey, I've got this pill. It's for high blood pressure, but it also treats ADHD. Because you throw a bunch of stuff against the wall to find out what sticks so you could hold on to your patent and then re-roll it out. It's so you don't have to go through the entire process of coming up with something new. And so you can charge the insurance companies all of these things. And you've already got through 90% of it. You ever played a video game and it looks eerily similar to another video game because all they do is reskin it, give it new colors, maybe throw one or two little things in there, and then throw a new name on it? That's essentially what they do here. But that cost us. It's crazy. I don't fault them in the pharmaceutical world because I know for every one they get through, there's 10 that are going to fail, and that's going to cost them billions of dollars and years. I don't fault them at all for that. But having an understanding is what matters. And that's the stuff that we need to be addressing, and we're not addressing it the way we should be because we're too busy hyper-focused on whether or not this guy that looks like Where's Waldo when he's just kind of given up and he's retired, Bill Barr, lied or didn't lie about something that did or didn't happen, and you sit back and you say, at this point in time, can we just work on some other stuff that matters? 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us.
I've been watching him on the streets and right on the streets where people are being killed, and he's out there doing rallies. He's actually very brave in a true sense.
Yeah, Guaido, depending on who you're talking to, it's over, it's done. They've fallen apart, and Venezuela is going to remain in the hands of Maduro.
I think there are a number of people looking at going, this hasn't worked, and this is what we're hearing already on the streets of Caracas. Many people feeling, he played his best hand and it didn't have the result that he intended. But never say never, right? And I certainly get the sense on the streets here that the more people risk their lives, then it raises the stakes on all sides, and people feel, well, we can't back down now.
What I think is going to rile the crowd up again is when there is something where it gets really ugly and you see deaths, arresting of people, and executions, because it'll come. Somebody tweeted at me earlier, P.S. Venezuela is a dictatorship, not socialism. I said, it never starts out as a dictatorship, but it always seems to end there. Have you noticed that? I don't think it's over, but it's not going to happen as fast. And as long as there is outside help, whether it's us or them, the battle's there. But the Cubans are there. Russians have their fingers in it now. Why shouldn't we? Because we know what Russia wants. They want their fingertips in South America. And man, how weird would it be? Let me ask you this question for all those out there who believe Venezuela is just doing wonderful. What happens when they decide, hey, we're going to put some nukes in Venezuela? How's that work out? How's that play out to the world? It's a possibility. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. ButcherBox. Got something new for you kids. Oh, yes, they do. Oh, and it's yummy. Summertime's almost here. A little barbecue time for everybody. Are you ready for this? Now, you know about ButcherBox, the best tasting meat with its steak, and they've got the best pork. They've got all the most incredible, no hormones or antibiotics, the most nutrient-dense meat you can find. It is just amazing. You can customize your box. But with summer here, you want to get out there, you want to queue a little bit, barbecue for those of you who don't know. ButcherBox is doing something amazing. Less than $6 a meal, customize your box, but they're doing the ultimate barbecue bundle. $20 off your first box, right? $20 off your first box. And this is what the ultimate bundle comes with. New York strip steaks, baby back ribs, boom, and 2 pounds of ground beef. Yep. You can get all of this and $20 off right now. How do you get it? Simple and easy. Go to butcherbox.com/Chad, butcherbox.com/Chad, butcherbox.com/Chad. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Running with scissors sounds great compared to this.
Say
Chopper 2, respond to Hawaii National Park. person fell into Halima'uma'u crater.
70 feet into Kilauea. Didn't die, bad injuries, crossed over the barrier not supposed to, and then fell in. They're not saying how old the person is and what kind of injuries, but what I really like is the enthusiasm of the person on the phone. You can just hear the excitement and the fear as if maybe, I don't know, she was doing something else when the call came in and she can't be bothered.
Went over the railing to use the bathroom. The ground caved in. Lost sight of him. They're unable to hear the patient.
I don't know what's going on. This is what happened.
A ranger is on scene. They're requesting help with extrication. Unknown how far down, he fell into the Halima'uma'u caldera.
Hey, Phil, he fell into the Holly thing. It's, I don't know, like 8 feet, 10, could be 100. I don't know. It was 70 feet. They said he had to use the bathroom. Other people disputing that. Either way, the chances of him being potentially charged for being an idiot is big. They said, at least for now, that he's alive, but he does have serious issues. Say what? Sad news today from the world of entertainment. We had one of the last interviews with this man, and we asked him, what was it like being such an icon and a figure to so many people around the globe? Peter Mayhew passed away. That's right. The man who played Chewbacca died at age 74. We're trying to figure out what he died of, and we've come to the conclusion that 7'2" and 75 years of age is probably one of those things. I was on his IMDb. He did not do a lot of stuff. Now, he was a Star Wars story and Star Wars The Last Jedi. He was a Chewbacca consultant, but he wasn't in the movie. His last on-camera appearance came in 2016 in Killer Inc. He played Uncle Clyde. He shared the role in The Force Awakens in 2015 with Jonas Suotamo. But outside of that, he did not do a lot. He was only in a few things. And think about this for a second. He was in Sinbad, Eye of the Tiger in 77 in Star Wars. He was then in movies Terror. He played in the movie The Mechanic. Then he was in The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Ewoks, Return of the Jedi, Star Tours in 1987, and then he didn't do anything else until 2004. Not a lot of work. Not. Peter Mayhew passed away. Say what? Age 75. Chewbacca, you will be missed. Thank you. You were a kind man. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. If you're going to go to Hawaii, don't pee in a volcano. Just, right? Don't pee in a volcano. That is your wisdom of the day. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Let's just be really clear about this. We are talking about the Attorney General of the United States, who runs the United States Department of Justice. And this is a person who should conduct himself with the highest level of integrity. This is someone who represents the people of our country. This is not how Attorney General Barr has conducted himself. He is clearly biased. He is clearly reluctant to share the truth with the United States Congress, and clearly unable to perform his duties as the Attorney General of the United States.
Oh, my goodness me. Kamala Harris. And the Thompson twins. Lies. It is amazing, right? Like yesterday, I couldn't tell you. I think everybody's lying at this point. I start out there with your lying. Remember the TV show House? What did he always say? Everybody's a liar. Everybody lies. And it's not so much anymore that they lie. They just give you enough of the truth without telling you the entire story, so you don't catch yourself in something. And this goes for everybody in a situation like this, right? Hey, I want you to recall 25 conversations that you have. And if you don't get it right, I'm going to count that as a lie, even though you may have got some of it right, unless it's perfect, because the person over here is saying something completely different. And you're just like, ah. But yesterday, watching all of this, I thought to myself, does this serve us anything at all? Did this serve any of us? And then today, you've got Rep. Steve Cohen, right? Democrat, Tennessee. He takes it a step further.
This smacks so much of Watergate. An attorney general like John Mitchell, who believes the president is above the law. Chicken Barr should have shown up today and answered questions. Attorney general who is picked for his legal acumen and his abilities would not be fearful of any other attorneys questioning him for 30 minutes. This man was picked to be Roy Cohn and to be Donald Trump's fixer. The Black Sox look clean compared to this team. It's a sad day in America.
Oh, my goodness. It is a sad, sad day in America. What do you think about that?
Is a
what?
Is a it.
What? Yeah. I don't need that kind of language, Lindsey Graham. I just don't. I don't know who you think you are. It was Lindsey Graham yesterday, reading stuff. This is stuff that, I mean, this is where the theatrics, even Lindsey Graham, who got into it yesterday, reading something, knowing full well that the cameras were live, but wanted to throw it out there. Not that I care, because I'm a big person. I can understand this.
Trump is a idiot.
Oh, solved nothing at all. Solved zero. Of all the things it solved, it was nothing. So today, Barr was supposed to testify, did not testify, which upset a lot of people. People were worried about it today. So yesterday, it was the Senate hearing. So the Senate is controlled by the Republicans. Today was supposed to be the House hearing. So yesterday, what you saw is all of the people asking the questions that were senators. So there were members of the Senate. People were voted in. Today, the House wanted to open it up to any staff members asking questions, meaning several other attorneys and all kinds of things, which is apparently has never been done in the 206 years of the House. It's never been done, but everyone wants to mix it out like he's not here because of this. Maybe he just want to be here because at this point in time, he thinks it's ridiculous. One thing's for sure, it really upset Nancy.
I really lost sleep last night after watching over and over the testimony of the Attorney General of the United States. How sad it is for us to see the top law enforcement officer in our country misrepresenting, withholding the truth from the Congress of the United States.
I slept like a baby. Like a baby, I said. I slept like a baby. Full belly. Little cacoozle. Little jacoozle. Straight into my pillow sheets. I slept like a baby. Did not freak out about it. It's funny though. And it's funny when I listen to that, like Pelosi saying last night that she lost sleep. And then Hillary Clinton went on to Rachel Maddow's show. And this is what she said. And this is like everybody's living somewhere.
I mean, I'm living rent-free inside of Donald Trump's brain, and it's not a very nice place to be, I can tell you that. I've been investigated repeatedly by the other side, and much to their dismay, but to my, satisfaction, it's been for naught. I testified for 11 hours in the Benghazi hearing after, 7 committees said there was nothing there. This is a diversion attack. Look.
By the way, just to let you know, he's living rent-free in the White House. Would you trade positions with him? It's a question. I think it's a fair question. It is a fair question. You trade with him in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. And yeah, there was 11 hours of testifying in Benghazi. There was. There was a lot of... and why was that? Let's be real. Right? And I don't blame Hillary on this stuff more than I do President Obama and them and that baloney that they came out and told us. This is spontaneous because the guy made a YouTube thing and this was a spontaneous thing. Can we all just step back and say, I call BS on that? Just a smidge. But you're living rent-free in Trump's head, and it's not pretty. I don't know about that, really, because you're out there still politicking. You're not relevant anymore. You're not running again. Not yet. I never say never. She could say never. I never say never. Ever. And if, by the way, if these 21, right? If these 21 pilots happen to look like they're having issues and there's going to be no clear landing, would it be out of the question that she rides on in? No, it wouldn't. But it was kind of funny. It was I'm living rent-free. He's still in the White House. He's still in the White House. Let's just remember that. You may hate him, and I got no problems with you not liking him. Zero. I get attacked every day like, oh, my God, you're just some sort of shill for Trump. I am anything but. I got a guy the other day. What did he say to me? It was hilarious. Some guy tweets at me the other day, tells me what a horrible human being I am, how much I hate Trump, how I'm a blowhard, how I suck, my show sucks, and all of these things. And I just laugh, and I'm thinking, why? Well, because I hate Trump. I mean, so make up your mind, right? Do I hate him? Do I love him? Right? I don't know. It just made me laugh. It did. I'm living rent free. I think he's living rent-free in your heads. You're still not over what happened on that night. The media's still not over what happened on that night. And that night I'm talking about is November 2016, and hence the reason why several tweets will send you guys into a tizzy. And she was super investigated. Let's be real. And a lot of that investigation was just partisan politics. I will agree 110%. Absolutely. Do I think we got to the bottom of everything? No. And much like she said, they investigated me and they didn't find anything. Well, Mueller investigated and didn't find the things that you think that he wants, that you wanted them to find. And I thought what Lindsey Graham said here was pretty on spot.
To all my friends on the other side, we gave Mueller 2 years to do his job. He had 19 lawyers. He had $25 million. He interviewed 500 people. He issued 2,000 subpoenas. Plenty of opportunity without interference. The president gave him 1.5 million documents. Everybody around the president and on the president's campaign testified voluntarily. And here's what we know. There was no conspiracy between the Trump campaign and the Russians at all. It is over. And the reason they're mad at Barr and me is because they didn't get the outcome they want. My friends on the other side want an outcome, and they don't care how they get it.
Yeah, that's the game that politics is played in. You know that. I know that. We all know that. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at me. Remember this whole thing with the kids and the college and mom and dad and everybody's got money. We're all paying for everybody to go to school, but nobody's supposed to know. Well, people are starting to be sentenced and they're pleading out. And woo, there's going to be some people doing time, which is... To me, I find it insane, but they're not doing time because they snuck their kids into school when they should. They're doing time because of tax fraud, wire fraud, things of that nature, as well as other things.
It's not clear just what the parents or student knew about how their daughter got a spot at Stanford, but the family from Beijing did reportedly pay 7 figures to make it happen. And just yesterday, a California real estate developer and his wife were the first parents to appear in court to formally enter a plea of guilty.
Yeah. They entered a plea of guilty. And here's the thing that is making people nervous. Who's going to snitch, right? So that's what you do. Hey, you're facing 2 years in jail. But if you work with me, if you know anybody else who's gone on your path, if you know people who potentially also got caught up in this that we haven't identified yet, if you help us, we could potentially help you.
If they're talking about somewhere in the $500,000 plus range, where prosecutors are going to be recommending at least 2 years in prison, you can understand why those people are going to be more reluctant to try to cut a deal than someone who maybe spent a lot less money, facing the possibility of a lot less time.
Yeah. I mean, do I think it's stupid? Yeah. But again, the money side of it, it's not that you paid $500,000 to get your kid into school, right? That's irrelevant. It's that you paid $500,000 to fake nonprofits, then wrote it off tax-wise. That's getting you in trouble. If you would have just paid $500,000 and said, I paid $500,000 to get my kid into school, and it was wrong, they're going to slap you on the wrist, and you didn't write it off in your taxes, nobody cares. It's the way that they went about doing it that's going to get them in serious trouble, and that's why they're going to pay the price. 323-538-2423, at Chad Benson Show. From your Twitter, you could tweet at us. Breaking news! Facebook has banned Milo, InfoWars, and Louis Farrakhan for being dangerous. Is Milo dangerous? I've met Milo on a few occasions. We've had him on the show on several occasions. I don't know if he's dangerous. Provocative. Yeah, I'll say provocative. But dangerous? Ugh. And we know what, all we got to do is just look and see what's going on with InfoWars. And you stand back and go, I get it. 323-538-2423, at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. But I will say this, right? I don't believe in that. I think you should let them and the marketplace play itself out rather than banning. That's just me. Right? I'm not a fan of InfoWars. What do you mean you're not a fan? You know what I mean. But I think you should let it play itself out in the court of public opinion and marketplace. 323-538-2423, at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. $20 off is what you're going to get with your first box. But that's not all. Your first box of what, Chad? The best meat around. Butcher Box. Barbecue season is here. It is time to get busy with the best of the best. You don't want that low rent meat. You want the best of the best, and that is grass-fed, grass-finished beef, free organic, free-ranging chicken, wild-caught sockeye salmon, just to name a few from Butcher Box. It's incredible. 20 different cuts of meat, best tasting, best cuts, most nutrient-dense meat to choose from. And get this, no antibiotics or no hormones ever. You can customize your box. And right now, this is what they're doing for my listeners, the Ultimate Barbecue Bundle. You're going to get $20 off your first box, but you're also going to get 2 New York strip steaks, baby back ribs, 2 pounds of ground beef, boom, and yeah, that $20 off. Get yours today, butcherbox.com/Chad. Don't miss out on this incredible offer. It is that time of year where you're barbecuing. No low rent meat, only the best. Butcherbox.com/Chad. Butcherbox.com/Chad. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Experiencing separation anxiety? That's dumb. Check out Chad 24/7 at his website, ChadBensonShow.com, and on iTunes, free. The Chad Benson Show. Never feel lonely again.
People say, how do you get through that whole stuff? How do you go through those witch hunts and everything else? And you know what we do, Mike? We just do it, right? And we think about God.
We think about God, and we just do it. National Day of Prayer. How do you get through the witch hunts? How do you get through them? Just do. You do. You just wake up and you put one shoe on at a time. Take one step. That's what you do. It's just so crazy. Look, I'm sure it's stressful as hell. It is. I think being that, I don't know why anybody would want that job anymore after seeing where we're headed, but it shows you the ego that human beings have. Because I look at this and I think, why would you want that gig? Doesn't pay well. You get a lot of gruff for it, right? You could go to the private sector, make 10 times the money being a CEO of companies. It's just, why would you, what about that appeals? I don't know. I don't know. It's just something appeals to people that they just have to feel like I guess they need to be in charge. 323-538-2423, At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. People tweeting in. Somebody just tweeted into me and says, from a scale of 1 being left to 100 being conservative, where do you think you fall on the scale? And I'm like, I don't know. Depends on each issue. I don't approach it as I choose a side for everything, because I don't think all parties have a monopoly on both good and bad ideas. I don't think that at all. I think both sides have some good ideas, and I think both sides have some bad ideas. And here's the thing, too. I look at politics and bills like I look at movie scripts, or like if you try to convert a book into a movie. It looks great. The book's amazing. All of it's wonderful. And then when you make it into a movie, it gets watered down and it's missing a good portion of the thing that made it so great. And by the time it comes out, it doesn't you don't recognize it as what you saw. It's something completely different. Very rarely does it turn out to be what you think it's going to be. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. So that means both sides at times can turn out something amazing, a la Game of Thrones, for those of you out there. And at the other side, sometimes they turn out just crap over and over again. They're both good and bad script writers. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
It's the Chad Benson Show.
It's urgent that we see the documents we have subpoenaed. But I cannot agree to conditions that prevent me from discussing the full report with my colleagues and that prevent the House from acting on the full report in any meaningful way.
Jerry Nadler doing what the Nadler does. Trying to grab everybody by the Nadlers. Say, this is what we're going to do. So Barr, he's going to hold him today, potentially, in contempt of some sort of, I don't even know, because he's not showing up. He's like, I'm not going to come here. It's the whole thing is a joke, right? Like how many, like people ask you, what do you guys do? You know, what do you talk about? I said, you guys want to know what I'm talking about? Here's what producer Phil and Anthony and I were talking about during the break. Are you guys ready for this? Is everybody, you guys ready? We're talking about Menudo, not the soup, but the band Menudo. Like, are they still around? Right? And you're right, producer Anthony. Menudo is not only the soup, but it was also Spanish synonym for little, and in Puerto Rican Spanish, loose change. So, and by the way, for those of you not keeping score, that was like, they were pretty popular. Ricky Martin was in them. So that's what we were talking about. We were talking about that. So the first lineup was in 77, and the last lineup was in 2009. And they no longer exist. Menudo, for those of you guys. My friend got the greatest Christmas gift ever when Menudo was huge. It was hilarious. His brother, whose nickname is DJ Loose Change, that's what he does for a living. What's up? Shout out, Jimmy Doo. He gave his brother a Menudo lunchbox with his face superimposed where Ricky's face was supposed to be. This was in the 80s. Solid. Oh, so much more entertaining, isn't it? Than whether or not Barr's going to show up and you've got to listen to James clap on, clap off, say stuff like this.
I'll be charitable. I thought he was a master at hair splitting and being disingenuous, if not blatantly dishonest. Great disappointment to me because I had high hopes for him after his confirmation hearing and knowing that he had already served once as the Attorney General. And I thought he would rise above the politics, do the right thing.
I thought he's right about the politics, do the right thing, but he's not going to do it, said James Clapper, who has also been found to be wanting in more than a few things and off by more than a few things on a lot of this stuff. So I'm going to listen to you, oh person who says there's an earthquake every 30 seconds. Ugh, just so stupid. So these parents are being sentenced, and they're now starting to flip on each other, which is kind of hilarious when it comes. So you've got all these rich parents who got their kids into school, and you've got a Chinese parents that apparently spent like $6 million, $5 million, you're hearing all kinds of numbers thrown around, and they're potentially doing times, in prison, and you've got other parents that have already pled guilty or athletic coaches and directors who may be in some serious trouble, and they're starting to get sentenced. And now they're going to start flipping on one another, which will be so funny.
I think it's got to mean that they're going to help potentially bring down their friends, people who introduced them to Singer.
Oh, my goodness me. Can you imagine that?
The more people who cooperate, the larger the umbrella becomes of potential defendants here. And they may be finding out things that they didn't know originally in the investigation because of the people who are now cooperating, meaning parents who may end up turning on fellow parents.
All to get your kid into school. And I find this funny because this guy named Warren Buffett, I don't know if you guys ever heard of this guy, kind of has it together, pretty smart dude, didn't want to go to college himself, dad made him go, and it paid off. But he's been out and about and vocal on higher education because I think we have too many kids in school who shouldn't be in school, not because they're stupid, not because they can't handle the curriculum, some because it's just not their time to go to school. They need to go find out what it is that they want to do, and they're just kind of going because they think it's the right thing to do, and mom and dad want them to go, and some because there's a better path for them that doesn't involve higher education and hundreds of thousands of dollars in loans. That is insane. I was talking to my best friend yesterday, and her and I were talking because her son is getting ready to go to college. And as we were chatting about this, she was saying that for her kid to go to college, the room and board is going to be $21,000 a year. That is not school. That is just room and board. So for 4 years, it's going to be $80,000+ to just go to room and board if they were going to do 4 years of staying inside the dorms and the whole 9 yards. Is that insane? It's insane. But I love what Warren Buffett has to say.
Is business school worth it?
Depends on the person, and much more than it depends on the school. I mean, I wouldn't worry. Some people are going to get a lot out of advanced education, and some people are going to get very little. And I don't even think it's important that every person go to college at all. I mean, my dad was not keen on going to college.
Yeah. It's hilarious, though. It's true. College is great. Furthering your education is great. Do you know what you want to do? I mean, do you honestly know what you want to do? I always say this. An 18-year-old comes to you and says, I'm totally in love, and I want to marry this person, and we're going to start a family, and we want to borrow a couple $100,000 to buy a house. You're going to be like, but if they come to you today and say, I want to make a full commitment, and I would like to borrow $200,000 to go to school, you're like, oh, yeah, totally, go ahead. It's nuts. Have a few gap years, find out what you want to do, but also look at alternative paths. And I keep saying, things that we'll always need, plumbers. That's not going away, kids. Producer Phil, you having a plumbing issue right now?
Yes, I am.
There you go. Yeah, you're going to need that. We're going to need water. We're going to need plumbing, toilets to work, to flush, electricity. It's not going anywhere. HVAC, especially with global warming or cooling, depending on which way you're going. Things that are needed, but we don't talk about those things because they're a trade and they're not as cool. And if you get your hands dirty and you make $120,000 a year, it's not as good as if you just think for yourself and you make $60,000 a year and pay off hundreds and thousands of dollars of student loans.
We have all kinds of jobs at $70,000 or so thousand a year, $80,000 a year that college training is not of use. And I actually was not keen on going to college myself. If they'd had an SAT test in those days, he would have taken the test for me. But I knew I could have a good time, and I liked investing, and I didn't really feel I could read the books. You know, it's a big commitment.
It is a big commitment. And you know what? I think the reality is, I think Buffett was going to be Buffett. Right? He was going to be Buffett. That's who he was going to be. The college put him in certain positions. And that's why he said earlier in the first clip is it's more important if you're going to go to college. It's more important about the college than it is the education, meaning you surround yourself with other people that are like-minded, which will help you in your walk up a ladder, as opposed to maybe having to take a different route. Now, you're still trying to get to the same place, and you still may very well get there. And if you are that kind of person, you're probably going to get there. If you bust your ass and you have some common sense and you put the work in, yeah, it'll happen for you. But he said it perfectly. It's about the college you go to. Because if you go to Harvard or Yale, you are in a better position through contacts and that piece of paper, and your education may be no different. You may not even learn as much, but through everything else, you put yourself in a much better position, and that's just the way it is. So that's why he said, But there are so many jobs out there that you can go and you could get a trade. You can do so many different things. And look at the IT things that you can do nowadays. And I know 20 coders, and I would tell you, maybe know one or two that ever went to school. The rest of them, through security and all the other stuff, it's all self-taught. The things they have done because they've thrown themselves into it. And because, we're still in a place where we're still trying to put these things together in the world of technology because it's changing so fast that they're so far ahead of the game. But they're making six figures plus. No, they knew what they wanted to do. And that's what he says here.
To take 4 years and the cost involved and maybe the loans involved and everything. And I think depending on what your interests are in life, I don't think it's for everybody. I think it's for a lot of people. But there ought to be a reason you're going. And I didn't really see much reason.
Yeah. And that's just it. And over and over again, for years, as I've talked to people, my mother being a perfect one, she went and got a degree. And then what did she do? After going out in the real world, she went back and got the degree that she wanted and the education she needed later in life because she knew exactly where she was going. And the other education was nothing. And too many people, you go to college campuses, as much as we talk about the kids and the craziness and the wild wackiness, how many places do you go back and you see there's a lot of older people here? And by older people, we're talking people in their mid-20s, early 30s, maybe even older, who are back in school because they're trying to do some things and further in education because they found a place that they want to go and they found a career path that they want to take, and the education they originally got wasn't the path because they didn't know what they want to do. They didn't. There are some people out there, they know they want to be a lawyer. They know they want to be a doctor. They know they want to be a fireman, or they know what they want to do. But so many of us, and I've got tons of friends, I'm sure it's everybody listening out here, you have a lot of friends who've all, and maybe even you, who've got a college degree in something, and you're nowhere near what your college degree's in. I had a buddy who went to school, got a college degree in a foreign language that was it was like Swahili and a couple other things. He was going to be a teacher, teach languages. And you know what he does now? He manages a Walmart, and he makes a ton of money. And he does it. His life is but nowhere near any of the stuff that he was going to do. And I just laugh because there's a lot of that out there. That's why I always say the gap years and those formative times is amazing. And don't put down trade schools. I think we've got this weird complex that if you are earning a living with your hands, it's somewhat noble-ish, but the reality is you're not white collar. You're more white trash. And I think that's so stupid. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love to hear from each and every one of you. Barr did not show up today. He was not barred. See the way I did that? He was not barred. But the reality is politics is still going on. And the whole Barr, Mueller, all this stuff, it means very little to most people. But he didn't show up today. They'll tell you he needs to go away. He's a bad AG.
If he can't and he's not capable of asking the Attorney General questions, maybe he should step down or resign.
That's Sarah Huckabee Sanders saying maybe Nadler needs to go. Nadler's saying Barr needs to go. Everybody's pointing fingers at each other. And Barr decided not to show up today. And one of the reasons that you're not going to hear a lot of people talk about is they wanted everybody to be able to question Barr today. That means staff members got to question Barr, not just the House members, the people that were voted and put there, that their staff and other people were allowed to question him. And I think he just thought, you know what? I gave you guys, 5-6 hours yesterday. I'm moving on. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Twitter. AMAC is an amazing group. You know what they're doing? They just submitted something, recommendations to the Social Security Subcommittee of the House and Ways and Means Committee on Social Security, because 5-10 years from now, Social Security may not be here at all. At the rate we're going and spending Medicare, and you need groups out there that are going to fight for you. And this is one of those things where they said, hey, look, we figured out some ways that we can make this thing solvent without having to raise taxes. You need somebody out there fighting on your behalf for things like that and common sense immigration reform. That's what AMAC does. And on top of that, their benefits are incredible. Retail, restaurant, hotel discounts, so many other things, movie discounts up to 50% off movies, amusement park discounts, you name it, they've got it. And right now they're offering my listeners a free one-year membership. Free one-year membership. Go to amac.us/Chad or call 888-355-1617. That's 888-355-1617. amac.us/Chad. Get your one-year membership today from AMAC. AMAC is better for you, better for America. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Set Chad straight. Text the show, 323-538-2423. That's 323-538-CHAD. Someone has to do it. Might as well be you. The Chad Benson Show.
Nobody is above the law, not the President of the United States and not the Attorney General.
Yeah, you know who's above the law? Yeah, remember that movie, Above the Law? It's an awful movie. Steven Seagal thought he was above the law. It's not above mine. You know how Steven Seagal became an actor? Besides the fact that he was a ninja. And for those of you guys, the joking of the fact that Steven Seagal is fat and goofy, he is like, as far as Aikido goes in the martial arts, he's up there with the best of them in the world. But he used to train like Michael Ovitz and all of these famous Hollywood muckety mucks, and they said, we'll give you a movie. And then he became some sort of star, and that's kind of what he did. Oh, Steven Seagal. Now he's a caricature of himself. Isn't he a citizen of Russia? All he does now is make movies in Eastern Europe. Probably makes a $500,000 movie, right? Shoots him in like a week because it's just like, we're going to do one shot all the way through. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Well, Barr didn't show up today. He was not barred, but they may cite him for contempt, and they're going to try to get rid of him. And, go ahead, impeach. We got other things going on. If you guys are going to do it, just do it. If not, stop talking about it. Like, that's my thing. You ever somebody who talks about stuff like, I'm going to do it. I'm like, no, you're not. I'm going to do it. Like, no, you're not. I'm going to do it. No, you're not. And then they never do it. But, well, do it or stop talking about it. But we don't want to hear it anymore. We don't. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. So Facebook has banned Milo Yiannopoulos, Louis Farrakhan, Alex Jones, Paul Joseph Watson, Laura Loomer, and Paul Nealon. So, all righties except for Farrakhan. I don't know what they deemed them dangerous. They said, we've always banned individuals or organizations that promoted or engaged in violence and hate, regardless of ideology. The process of evaluating potential violators is extensive, and that's what led us to the decision to remove these accounts today. Alex Jones was temporarily banned by Facebook back in July. He can't even be on Instagram. In fact, he probably shouldn't be on the web, according to a lot of people. Here's where I think. Somebody asked me earlier. I don't think you should ban anybody. I just don't. Right now, that's just me. I like to let public play itself out unless they're advocating violence. Right? If they're advocating violence, then yes. Do I think Milo advocates violence? I've met Milo. He's been on the show a few times. I don't think Milo advocates violence. A lot of these, like Laura Loomer and Alex Jones, very conspiracy theory. But if you're going to, where does it end? That's just it. Where does it end? And who gets to decide these things? And that's the area that people go, that's why we don't trust. That's why we don't trust you, Facebook. That's why we don't. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from every single one of you. Check out thechadshow.com. Here's something interesting for your useless fact of the day, and I had to Google it on a few occasions, look several different places to find it. In 2014, a court agreed with T-Mobile that they own the color magenta when it comes to advertising. So think about that. You can wear it, but when it comes to advertising, in particular telecommunication companies, T-Mobile owns magenta. Weird. Have a good rest of your day. I see Friday. Night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.